Okay, here we are. This video was supposed to only be a short E, and it's gonna turn into a long E because. So here we are, a full 24 plus hours later, and I'm still in the same position I was when this whole project started, which is this is a shit print. I'm going to use this print because this was a 14-hour print and I need to use it. But there's a couple problems right off the bat, and I knew better. I can't beat this dead horse enough. I was and I am a professional painter. Repair and refinishing of finished products, you know, professional coder. I don't know what you want to I don't know what you want to call it, but this is my job. And I knew better because it's my job to know that these products that I purchased were not going to work. Consumer grade products. This is shit that I bought at Home Depot. I didn't want to drive down to my jobber and I didn't want to spend $200 on materials. I wanted to spend about $50 I didn't want to spend $200 to fix a print. I wanted the print to come out right the first time. This one, printed in PLA, actually came out pretty decent. It was decent enough that I could just spray paint on it and finish it. So, what's going on? Well, a couple things. My experience with painting plastic has always been touch and go at best. I'm not familiar with... Yes, I'm a professional painter, but I'm not familiar with the refinishing processes that are involved with PETG or PLA. And I made the mistake of purchasing consumer grade products to do this job with, and I should have went down to my jobber and bought professional grade products. So this particular product here, this Ultra Cover Primer, is a primer. Okay, so we'll rewind for just a second here. There's a significant difference between primers, sealers, primer sealers, and primer surfacers. So primers are not for anything other than giving you a barrier coat between your base substrate and your finish coat. And they're generally relatively thin, and they have very little filler, for the sake of argument. I'm not going to go deep into it. But then you have primer surfacers, right? So this is a primer surfacer. They says primer filler, but what it is a primer surfacer. This is, I would call it lacquer, but it's not lacquer. It's an enamel base. And it uses basically talcum powder as its filler, and it suspends it in a media or medium. I don't know what the medium is, but I can tell you right now that Rust-Oleum sucks. I should know better. I have hated Rust-Oleum for my entire career. I still purchase their shit because that's all I can get at Home Depot, which is literally 3.2 miles away from my house, and it's relatively inexpensive. Well, you get what you pay for. So there's a couple problems with this. I'm just going to power through it and power forward because I got to get this project done. Now, I know there's a dozen different ways that you can finish this plastic to make it so it looks really nice. I'm not going to do any of those. The easiest thing for me to have done would have been to go to my professional paint supplier and purchased a two-part, for the sake of argument, I'm going to call it epoxy, but the truth of the matter is it's not an epoxy. It's a catalyzed finish that is a high surface build. And that would have taken care of this problem right here. So there's lines here where it just didn't, there was a lack of adhesion in between. There was a lack of layer adhesion for the print. Now, I've discussed this ad nauseum, but I didn't get into 3D printing as a hobby. I got into 3D printing as a tool. So I'm not fucking around trying to tune filament over and over and over again, especially on a 14-hour part. It's just not feasible. So the fault here is mine for knowing better and yet still doing what I did. I could go down to my supplier and purchase what's called, we used to call it zombie putty, which is a lacquer-based, fine-grained putty that I could stick on here, fill these little cracks in, sand it, paint it, and be done with it. I'm not going to do that. This project has pushed me to the limit of my, tolerance. So there's a couple different ways I can fix this. One is just to lightly sand this, which is still fucking wet, 48 hour or 24 plus hours after I started. I read the can on this, and it literally says on the can that it takes 7 to 10 days for this stuff to dry or to cure. And that I really wish I'd have read the can, right? Primer is not, when it says fast drying, okay, fast drying is not 30 days or 7 to 10 days. And I don't even know what this one is. This is supposed to be dry in 2 to 4 hours. Well, we're 24 hours into it. So I put 3 or 4 coats of this stuff on, not realizing that it had no filler in it at all. And then I switched to this stuff. So what I have going on here is, there's a term for it, but basically what it is it's just not going to cure. There's a couple ways I could fix it. The way I'm going to fix it is I'm going to lightly sand this, and I'm going to put a coat of this stuff on it. Okay, this is a paintable. It's called paintable undercoating. So basically, this is kind of like Flex Seal. I hope it's still good because it is pretty old. But this is one of the ones I've had the greatest amount of success with. This part, once it's finished, isn't going to be handled at all. It's going to sit there and just be what it is. The other thing I could do is just say hell with it and just paint this. Well, the problem is if I do that, what's going to happen is this primer, which is all the way underneath of it, is eventually going to cure and it's going to crack. It's already done that. It's already doing that. I don't know if it'll show up on camera. There it is. So see this here? This is just going to keep perpetuating. And it's doing it here too. That's just going to keep perpetuating. So now the other option is to just leave it sit for 7 to 10 days until it finally decides it's going to cure. It will eventually cure because this product cures through evaporation. My preference, again, would have been to use a catalyzed product that would have already been hard as a rock and problem would have been solved. You know, penny wise, dollar stupid is basically what this has turned into. Option 3 is to lightly scuff sand this thing and then just paint it with this stuff. This product from Behr actually isn't bad, and it matches really good to these. That's why I used it. It matches really close. So this is my original prototype, and for my purposes, this matches well enough. The real answer here is to throw this in the trash and reprint it in PLA. There was no real reason to use PETG. I should have just, because the PLA worked just fine. It's being coated, so UV protection is not important. So I should just reprint this in PLA and be done with it, but I'm not going to because this was a 14-hour print, and I don't want to do a 14-hour print. So I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to put it outside in the sun and let it warp some more. And And that's going to be that. Let's get rid of this. Now, next step, our next project. So this is the transformer for the low voltage lighting system. Now, two things. One is I scratched the front of it because I put it in here with a piece of sandpaper. The other thing is, the way these are designed to be mounted is you have to put screws in the wall and then hook it on there. Well, you know, not for nothing, I've never had really good success doing that, even using the template and everything else. Also, I'm going to be mounting this on a stone wall. So I got the bright idea that I was going to make a mounting plate for it, because every problem has a 3D printing solution now. So here's the first one that I printed up, and as you can see, once again, this is the top surface. That's an unacceptable finish. Even though this is going to be covered, there was a serious lack of layer adhesion. The other problem is I screwed the hole sizes up, because why not, right? Everything I do, I have to do 3 times with this fucking printer. I left the bolts up at the wall, so I'm not going to show those. But basically what I did was I have, actually I do have one right here. I guess I took it apart down here. So I had to shorten these bolts up. So I have these, and I stuck them in here. Of course they don't fit because my bolts are quarter inch standard, and the holes are metric, and they're not even designed for. I don't know what I got to put on my old man bitchin' hat here and just say I don't understand. They do this all of the time, pretty much. I can't count how many times I've gotten into this with these. These slots don't fit anything. I understand they're supposed to be tight. You're supposed to use these. This is the hardware set that came with this. And I could have done this. But they give you these shit plastic inserts and these too short screws. Now remember, I'm mounting this on a piece of stone, so it needs to be offset from the stone. So now I will admit that I did hog these holes out a little bit, but it's still wiggly wobbly, giggly gaggly, and even with the offset here, you have less than 1/2 of an inch of screw biting into whatever it is that you're putting this in. It's actually less than that. I don't understand how that's bullshit. Why include substandard hardware for a job just to include hardware? Be a custom builder. Everything is beautiful if you build it yourself. So this one didn't work. So that one's getting shit. That one got shit canned. This was an 11-hour print too, by the way. So I printed this one out, which I showed in the very beginning of the video. So I hogged that hole out because I'm not printing this over again. Now I could even the hole out and make it look a little bit nicer, but quite frankly, you're never, ever, ever going to see that. So this goes on here like this. Ooh, I didn't want to have to take this thing back apart, but I did. So now I can access the screws in the back. Now, the other problem, and this was something that I hadn't taken into consideration when I started this entire fiasco, was that once I do all that, I have this cord here, which is exceedingly longer than it needs to be. And I have the wires coming out of the bottom of here that I won't have access to once I mount this on the wall. I plan on using Tapcons to mount this. I absolutely positively despise Tapcons. I'm going to try to use the Tapcons to mount it to the wall. I've already drilled the proper size holes, and we're going to try to mount it using Tapcons. If the Tapcons don't work, I do have another alternative method to mount these, which is to use good, not these cheap shit fucking plastic inserts, but good inserts and longer screws. Actually, the Tapcons may have fit in here. I could have possibly just used Tapcons. Yeah, I could have just used the Tapcons to mount this, but then we're back to the same problem with this thing is just dangling off the wall. I don't want that. If something can get broken around here, it gets fucking broken. Doesn't matter. It's just dogs, people, whatever. The other thing I printed are these standoffs because I'm mounting it on a piece of stone. It's an uneven surface. So I printed these standoffs, and the standoffs are going to get glued into here. Now these, fucker. These are undersized, and I did that on purpose. So I can just put a drop of glue on the back side of these. These are printed out of TPU for the AMS. So they're a little squishy, so they should conform to the surface. But like I said, a drop of glue on here to hold it into place. Run the screw through here to there. And then I'm just going to mount a single, just to glue a single one in here, and it should just up against the wall, right, and be good. That problem is solved. Now, the next problem was I needed a junction box at the bottom of this thing. So I printed a junction box. So we're going to put this back into place temporarily. All right, so that's going there temporarily. So I went into Fusion 360 and I designed this box, this junction box. Now this is printed out of PETG. So this is where the wires are going to come from out of here. This box, I actually don't want this box sealed. So, I mean, I could have gone crazy and put sealer and everything, like made it perfectly sealed in a gasket and all that shit. I don't want any of that. I actually want water to flow through this box. It's all low voltage stuff except for this, and this is protected. This is suitable for a wet location. Notice too, right? So again, first layer adhesion issues. One day, I want to go one fucking day and not have to paw through the garbage like a fucking bum. A bum, Jules. A fucking bum. All right, so first time I went to print it, layer adhesion issues, extrusion issues. I don't know what the fuck that is, but that was a failed print. Went back, printed it again, and I did this one. When I designed the box, I hadn't taken into consideration, well, I did. I got into a fight with Fusion, which apparently is now just called Fusion, not Fusion 360. Who knew, right? So I printed the box with the lid, and I just got into a fight with Fusion, and that's what I printed out first time. This box is actually relatively acceptable for what I wanted to do. Again, I don't know if it'll show up on camera, but adhesion issues on the top layer. I don't plan on painting this. I don't want to paint this because it matches relatively decent to the black box, which I'm not painting. So I went back into Fusion again, and I printed this box. This box has an offset in the lid, so when I go to put it on, the lid doesn't fall off, right? So this one doesn't have that, and it just falls away. And I put a little slot in here, right? So I'm just gonna temporarily show it. So that goes in there like that. This is gonna come out like this. Oh, you fucking whore! I oversized this fucking hole significantly to make that fit. It'll go. This is my first try on this. I absolutely oversized that hole and it still doesn't fucking fit. It should fit. It should fit by like 10 thou. There should be plenty of fucking room here. Well, my holes aren't the right size. So this is what pisses me off about the 3D printing thing, because I oversized the holes. I measured it properly. I oversized the holes, and the fucking thing still doesn't fit. Son of a bitch. Alright, well, I'll fix that later. Damn it. So that goes in there like that. 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 And this is just supposed to be like this, right? No, and then I'm about ready to jam that into the hole. So this extra is going to live in here. Obviously not like this, but it's going to live in here. The lid gets put on the box. I got to notch that out. I hadn't taken that into consideration when I did it. Okay. Actually, I did. I just have to shave this down a little bit. And then this goes on here like that. It's like the zip. We're good to go. Boy, that really pisses me off. Fucking square peg into a round hole. I oversized it. I measured it from here to here, there to there, here to here, and there to there, and it should fit in the hole, but for whatever reason, it doesn't. All right. On to the next part of this fucking fiasco.